Trunk networks get their name from the world of telephony into a single traditionally thick line like two cities tree would be referred to as a trunk line. And then the local household loop lines would be like the branches of a tree, one line for each household. The reason why trunking has become important is because it offers some huge advantages over conventional for larger agencies. A conventional system is a system that has dedicated channels, dedicated to a specific user or group of users. You select a channel manually by moving a selection knob on a radio, or pressing some buttons, or maybe using some kind of drop-down menu in a display. So conventional means selecting a channel in order to communicate. So they're dedicated to particular users. Channel 1 might be fire, channel 2 might be fire chiefs, channel 3 might be animal control. In order to communicate with these particular groups, the user has to make a channel selection first, by hand, manually. Conventional has some huge advantages, why it's still popular around the world today. It's very fast to set up a call, it's easy to use, and it's pretty inexpensive. However, there's some downsides as well. Remember, conventional means using dedicated channels that are manually selected. When a channel is being used, it's used exclusively by one caller. So anybody else who wants to make a call on that channel has to wait until the call is over. It's an inefficient use of radio channels. I mean, think for a moment. Channel 1, the fire channel, you'd expect to be busy all the time. But channel 3, the animal control channel, well, how many loose dogs are there? That channel can go idle. So while you've got callers waiting to have a crack at channel 1, they can't make use of channel 3, even though it's completely idle. If you wanted to add groups, for example, you'd have to add a new channel that they can select. In a sense, you're limited by how many channels you can select from manually, and also adding a new channel or a new user group to this whole radio system means that you'll have to go out and reprogram all the radios all over again. There's a bit of a trade-off. I mean, if you're a small agency, a conventional system is absolutely perfect. If you know the groups that are going to be communicating with, why not go for a conventional system? But as soon as the number of groups and number of users that you're working on a system increases, you might actually like to consider trunking instead. Trunked radio might be better called computer-controlled or computer-aided radio. A trunked user identifies another user or group of users they wish to communicate with, and a computer automatically assigns them the first free available channel from a pool of channels to make each call. The underlying principle of trunking is that not all users or groups will want to communicate in a channel at the same time. So there can be many more users or groups than there are repeaters in the system. We can explain the difference between conventional and trunking using a simple analogy from banking. Consider a conventional bank in which specific tellers are dedicated to specific types of customers. For example, you have a teller that deals with ordinary household users making cash withdrawals and deposits, and then another teller which is dedicated to business accounts. So what happens at lunchtime? A long queue develops as household users want to make cash withdrawals or put in cash deposits. And then that teller is overloaded. Whereas the business teller finds one or two business customers, but most of the time stands idle. This is the problem with conventional systems. By contrast, a trunking teller can serve any type of customer and do any sort of transaction. So at lunchtime, when the long queue of household users wanting to make cash withdrawals or cash deposits is mixed in with the business users, the controller at the head of the queue simply assigns each customer to the first available teller. This means a more even throughput of the transactions because the tellers are far more flexible, and the trunking controller at the head of the queue is an intelligent intermediary between the customers and the tellers. So that's the basic difference between conventional and trunking networks. In one, the users manually control the allocation of channels by selecting from a knob, whereas in trunking systems, a computer at the center of the network is responsible for this.